Hey, what's up everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the what's next on Arnold Barboza Jr., the undefeated junior welterweight contender following a comebacker debut, kind of stay busy, shake off the rust type victory on the first telecast of the year from DAZN. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So this was an interesting fight right here. Barboza, looked good in his Golden Boy debut. Really dominated the action and punched his ticket towards, keeps himself right there in the steady mix for a world title shot. He's the WBO's #1 ranked contender right now. So it's kind of up in the air on what exactly the WBO is thinking. Because the WBO is allowing an optional defense against Subriel Matias. So does that mean they're going to order Teofimo Lopez to fight him next? That's, to be debated. So let's run through the top 10 and see what could possibly be options for Barboza next. Start with number 1, Devin Haney. The WBC champion. Well, Devin is really not tied to anybody. Devin could stay on DAZN for his next fight and take on Arnold Barboza. But is Barboza too low of a name, low level of a name for him? Following the win over Prograis and the year that Devin had, getting that undeserving decision against Vasily Lomachenko, it made him a bigger star and want bigger fights. But is Barboza the kind of guy that he wants? And would Barboza take that fight, or does Barboza want to stay in line for Teofimo Lopez? I'm leaning towards the less likely that this fight happens, but the fact that Devin can pretty much fight who he wants, and he might select a guy like Barboza for DAZN to stay active, I could see it, but I really believe Devin is going to make a mandatory next, is what I think is going to happen against Sandor Martin, but we'll see. Then there's Teofimo Lopez, the reigning WBO champion. I really think Barboza has a solid chance of fighting Lopez next. Lopez fights in a couple weeks when he takes on Jermaine Ortiz. That's an optional defense, and then I really do believe that it's possible that they would order Barboza to challenge Lopez next for the WBO title in a mandatory fight. Now, that's the thing. Does Lopez want that fight? That's the big question. Does Lopez really want to fight Barboza next, especially if the WBO orders him? I think he would fight Barboza just because he wants to hold on to some kind of world title while he tries to set up a bigger fight. But I know that, there's the potential of a big unification with Devin Haney, which would be big for Lopez. So I'm leaning towards that this could be a real possibility for Barboza next in a mandatory fight against Lopez, but I'm not guaranteeing it because the WBO might grant an exception for a unification bout between Devin and Teofimo. So we'll see. Then there's Josh Taylor, the former undisputed champ at 140. I think Barboza would be into a fight with Taylor, but I just don't think Taylor really wants to take on, to start from scratch. I think he wants either a big fight, a title fight, or he's moving to 147. I really don't think he wants to get into a grinded out type fight like this with a guy like Barboza. So I'm leaning towards a no. Then there's Jack Catterall. This one's interesting because if the WBO orders a mandatory fight, title fight, with the rumors that Jose Ramirez could be fighting Ryan Garcia next, that opens up the door for the top contender to fight the next available top contender. And next is Richardson Hitchens. And then I believe it's somebody it's Sandor Martin, who looks like he's in line for Devin Haney. So does that mean Catterall, who just pulled out of the Richardson Hitchens IBF final eliminator, Does that mean Catterall would fight Arnold Barboza Jr.? I mean, they're both tied to DAZN. One's with Matchroom, one's with Golden Boy. It'd be an easy fight to make, and Catterall's been trying to bounce back into the title mix for a minute now. I think this fight is a possibility. I really do. If the WBO orders a mandatory fight to happen, like a final eliminator to happen for the WBO mandatory spot. So we'll see. Then there's Jose Ramirez. I thought this fight was a definite possibility as a final eliminator, but now there's talks that Ryan Garcia and Jose Ramirez are talking. All three of them, including Barboza, are with Golden Boy, but we got to wait to see, because we know one thing for sure, that nothing has been solid with Ryan Garcia news lately. So we'll see if this one is a real possibility or not between Barboza and Ramirez. If the rumors are true, I'm going to lean towards the no for Garcia and Ramirez. If they're not true, I think it's very possible with both of them signed with Golden Boy now. Then there's Sandor Martin. Martin actually, I believe, just signed with Top Rank and looks to be in line for a showdown with Devin Haney in a mandatory fight, but that's not guaranteed. Devin Haney was in the Ryan Garcia mix negotiating with him, and then that fight seemingly fell through. Now, as it looks like it's more likely that that Ryan Garcia and Jose Ramirez are talking, but that's also not a guarantee that that's going to go down. So we got to wait and see what the scenario and the story is on Garcia and everything. But Martin, I think he could be a possibility in like an eliminator if Martin doesn't get the shot against Haney. But I honestly believe Martin will get the shot against Devin Haney next. Then we go to Regis Prograis. I mean, I think this is a fight that he could probably have if he wants it, Barboza and Prograis, but Prograis's got to want the fight. I think Barboza might be down just to make a statement, so we just have to wait and see, but I think Eddie Hearn and Prograis got to want the fight. Then there's Subriel Matias, the IBF champion. Subriel Matias, good fighter. I could see a potential fight between these two, but I think Matias, him being somewhat linked to Amazon and the PBC, but he's not officially signed with them. I think he could get this fight if Barboza wanted it, but I'm not sure Golden Boy is going to risk it for a guy that's not with Golden Boy like Matias. So we'll see. And then Gary Antoine Russell, Golden Boy and PBC working together, not likely, so I don't see that one. Doesn't look like it would really be an eliminator of any sorts either. Russell's too far down in the WBO. I don't really see him fighting any of the guys that are on the bubble right now. Maybe Ryan Garcia, just because Ryan and him are both with Golden Boy, and Ryan has been flip-floppy on who he wants to fight next. So we'll see what happens, but that's it. That's what I got. I really think it could be anybody. I'm leaning towards, I really don't know who I'm leaning towards. I think it could be Teofimo Lopez for the title towards the middle of the year, but I also think we could see him fight in a final eliminator against Catterall or Ramirez, guys on that level. It just depends on what he wants to do, what Golden Boy wants to do, and go from there. But I do believe Barboza is going to get a top 10 opponent, or at the very least, a WBO final eliminator next. So that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on Undefeated Junior Welterweight Contender at 140, Arnold Barboza Jr. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.